Hey you guys, welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Raid, Repeat guide to Socrethar the Eternal. This is Gorgeous, and I'm going to be talking you through this encounter. Alright, so there's two phases in this fight. The first phase is Socrethar is inside his construct, and you need to DPS it down to 1% so that he then comes out of the construct. A tank can then get inside of it and control it until it reaches 1% health. Then he can get back inside of the construct. Now, the only way you can win this fight is by killing Socrethar. You can kill the construct many times, but until you kill Socrethar, the fight doesn't end. Okay, it's time for the diagram. We put 3 markers up. We tanked him on Moon in the center of the 2 stairs so that the reverberating blows didn't hit anybody but the tanks. And then the raid stood on Orange. I'll get more into Star later, but let's continue on with the mechanics of the fight. Reverberating blows is the first thing that the construct will do, where he'll smash the ground and anybody that's stuck in its cone will take some damage. It also puts a debuff on 3 people in the cone that will increase damage done by 200%. In normal mode, we just had the tanks take it, but in heroic mode, you would need the raid to soak it and then step out if they did have that debuff. Next ability is called Fellblaze Charge. He's going to pick somebody in the raid and charge them. He's going to leave this trail of fell goo behind him. So the person just needs to step out of the raid to make sure that they don't lace the whole raid in this goo that will slow you if you're standing in it. To keep our fell charge organized, I put a star up and had the raider step to star so that he would charge towards star and leave that trail in that direction. Next ability is called Volatile Fell Orb. He's going to pick somebody in the raid and throw a big orb at them. When it hits them, it does a little splash damage. I just had the person who was chosen step forward, if it was clear, and eat the orb so that it didn't hit the raid. Last thing the construct's going to do is called Fell Prison. He picks somebody in the raid and puts this big green swirly underneath them. It then becomes an armed trap. Now, if anybody steps on this trap or is already in this trap, this big crystal's going to appear and chain them where they're not going to be able to do any abilities. You can DPS this crystal down to break them out, much like the spears on the Darmak fight in Blackrock Foundry. The thing to note, though, is that this trap is always active, so you need to avoid it. This trap can spawn where melee is, so really it's not something that you can predict. You can make a good guess that it's going to spawn on Orange, but you basically just need to have your raid move out of it and make sure nobody is standing in it ever. When the construct reaches 1%, Socrethar is then going to come out of it, and the tank can go inside of it and use its abilities. So there's going to be 3 portals that spawn on the edges of the room in random spots. You want your raid to run straight for the red portal. There's this ad that comes out of the red portal called the Dominator. The Dominator's job is to protect Socrethar. He's going to put this fell shield around him so that Socrethar cannot be DPS'd or interrupted. So I wanted to make sure that this Dominator died as fast as possible. When we were standing on Orange, the Dominator would have time to travel to Orange, ergo Socrethar would then have more time to cast his abilities. So Socrethar is going to be trying to get back into the construct, and the way he does this is by DPSing down the construct to 1%. You need to interrupt his ability called Exert Dominance. I believe we had 2 shamans and some melee, we had a rotation going that would interrupt this ability. The better you interrupt it, the more time the tank is going to be inside the construct. This is basically the only time that you have to DPS him down. If the construct gets to 1%, Socrethar will go back into it, and then you need to run back to Orange and restart that whole phase over again. When we first got to red is when we lusted because we wanted to kill that Dominator as fast as possible and then use that lust and pop our 3-minute cooldowns to quickly DPS Socrethar as much as we possibly could. There's a couple other ads that come out. There's a spellcaster that we would just interrupt to be pulled in and cleave down. And there's these little ghost ads that come out of the blue portal that we didn't really have to worry about because the construct or tank was taking care of it. There is this large ability that Socrethar will cast called Apocalypse. This is when you want to pop your raid-wide cooldowns, your personals, your spirit link totems, your barriers, because he can't be interrupted and it's just going to do a lot of damage. I'm assuming on heroic it's going to do a lot more damage because it wasn't that bad in normal. When the Dominators come out of the red portal, they will cast the Gift of the Man'ari on one person. This is a green pulsating ring that basically the person who has it just needs to stand out of the raid. This debuff does last a while, so if you do not kill the Dominator fast enough, multiple people will get this and eventually you'll have too many. So let's spend some time talking about if you're inside the construct. So phase 2 happens and there's 3 portals that spawn. The raid is going to run to the red portal, and Socrethar is going to be tanked where X is. You want to cast Reverberating Blows on Socrethar and the Dominator as much as you can. That way the DPS can DPS him down a little faster. Now your job is to maintain the blue portal. You want to put your Fel charge in front of the blue portal. That way when the ghosties come out, they're going to get stuck in that goo. Now if some ghosties get by, you can cast your Fel prison and they will get locked into it. So you're making it so that the raid does not have to worry about those ads. Now the red portal is not always going to spawn in the same spot or in a nice spot. Sometimes it's going to spawn where a Fel prism is already located or in just bad RNG. You do not want 2 phases where he jumps back into the construct and you have to repeat DPSing the construct down. We did do that on our kill, but optimally you only want 1 phase where he's dancing around and you have to interrupt his exert dominance. You can see in this little clip that how well our construct is maintaining those ghost ads away from the raid, so that the ghosts, they pick somebody in the raid and chase them, and if they touch them they will start to mind control them and do a little damage to them. It's quite a bit of damage, so our construct did a great job of just keep laying in that Fel charge and that prism so that the ghosts were maintained the whole time. You do want to melee Socrethar if you have nothing else to do as the construct, so the better you are at doing the construct, the more DPS you can do on Socrethar. Thank you so much for watching this guide. This is Gorgeous, and I hope you have fun with the fight.